Now, a new school is coming to the east of the city, but there is a process that has to be undertaken. Hildegarde Naughton joins me on the line to talk about this. Hildegarde, good morning. Can I, first of all, just talk about the background to this?
Yes, John. Earlier this year, Richard Bruton, former Minister for Education, announced that Galway was to be included in the government's national programme of new schools for 2019 to 2022. And Galway will be getting a school on the east side of the city or in Moor area that will accommodate up to 1,000 pupils, and it will open in September of 2019. So the next step in that process was to award the patronage of that school. So the Department of Education opened up a new system. It's an online system where parents who have a son or a daughter in first or fifth class, in between those two classes, for first to fifth class, could go online and express their preference in relation to the ethos of this new school. And the Minister for Education and Skills, Joe McHugh, has informed me this morning that Educate Together has been awarded patronage of the new secondary school to serve the east side of Galway City and Oranmore. So it's a significant day for the development of second-level educational choice in Galway, because it allows access to alternative ethos within the education sphere.
Very important, obviously, given the increase in population, especially in the east side of the city, where it's necessary now for a new secondary school to be built.
Yes. I think a key part of this is that it will provide much needed additional capacity and facilities on the east side of the city for what we know is an increasing school-going population. And I just want to give great credit to the Educate Together second level startup group who launched a fantastic campaign that they were running not only over the last few months in relation to the patronage of the school, but in relation to securing a second level school for Galway. There was two strands, I suppose, to this process. The first was that the Educate Together startup group worked with, got their evidence, got their facts and their figures to prove that the demographics were increasing in Galway City and that the Department of Education needed to award a new second level school to Galway. So that was announced earlier this year, and I know the Educate Together met with all of the TDs in Galway West, the 5 TDs there, and Galway East, and they had the support of all Oireachtas members in relation to the patronage of this new school. So, as I say, it provides choice for parents, and I know through the online process that where parents had to express an interest, many parents who currently don't have their children in Educate Together primary schools, many of them expressed a preference to allow a second level school under the patronage of the Educate Together system. I think that shows, I suppose, the goodwill out there, so that we have, I suppose, options, and that pupils and parents can have a choice of ethos in relation to second level schools. There's 5 primary Educate Together schools across Galway City and County, so it's important that many of these children and other children who are in maybe other primary schools have the option of attending a second level Educate Together school, and it will be the first Educate Together school in the west of Ireland.
So we now know the patronage, Educate Together. Next now is to obviously come up with a location for this school. Is that any clearer, or is there now a time scale before that's put in place?
Yes, so the next step is to identify a site to the east of the city or the Oranmore area. So the new patron, Educate Together, will have to work with the local authorities, be it the city council, county councils, to identify a site on the east side of the city or the Oranmore area. And of course, they'll be working in conjunction with the Department of Education and Skills. Now, the school is to open in September 2019. So what normally happens in this case is that a temporary building would be used, and normally they would start with first years only. That's from September 2019. So it will be open to 2019, but a lot of work has to happen in relation to the permanent site. But there may be a temporary location, temporary building up and running by September 2019. But all of this work now has to take place between the patron, the local authorities and the Department of Education. So it's an exciting time for Educate Together, for all the parents who worked so hard in this campaign, and the pupils indeed of the schools, the primary schools, who attended many public meetings over the summer in the city, in the Oranmore area, to try and encourage people to go online and to express their preference in relation to the ethos of this new secondary school.
Yeah, it's fantastic news indeed for that, but it does mean a very tight time slot, and obviously planning permission has to come into place. You mentioned that it's very possible that it would be temporary accommodation for those students and first year students to start off with. Once that's in place, is there a case of a time span then between that and when the school itself would be completed?
Yes, I suppose they have to take all of these factors into consideration and try and get the site as quickly as possible, the permanent school up and running as soon as possible in relation to planning and all of that. But I suppose in the interim, they need to identify temporary accommodation so that for the 2019 school year that the first years can have a building, have a base from which to work from. So it's a positive, a very positive news story for Galway and the West, and particularly for the Educate Together committee, the startup group who have done great work on the ground. And I've no doubt that they will work very effectively and efficiently with all groups, with all agencies in order to get this over the line. And they've shown that through the very positive and open campaign that they ran over the last few years.
It's fantastic news, really is. Hildegarde, thank you very much indeed for joining us and for giving us that good news.